Hi, I'm aware it's been a month. I kind of have dropped the ball like I said I would, but I didn't drop it that bad this time. Permitting that this actually goes up. Okay, so we did the video where I talked about a couple of Rebirth books, and I had this idea that I tried and filmed, but then I lost the video files like an idiot. To do a lot of books that kind of lead into DC Rebirth, but I also actually reread the Rebirth one shot itself. So we're going to talk about three books that basically have the Road to Rebirth banner on top here. And then we'll talk about Rebirth and just sort of give my thoughts on all of them real quick, like the last one. So if that sounds fun, keep watching. If that doesn't sound fun, still keep watching. So first we have Titan's Hunt. I didn't read this when it came out originally. I feel like I was one of the few people who was aware that it was out because none of my friends had heard about it before then. Um, but this is essentially uh, the Titans series we have now, except uh, Wally West isn't there, and there's a whole mystery behind the fact that hey, um, weren't they the Teen Titans previously? Okay, I'm getting ahead of myself. One of the biggest things I remember about New 52 that got a lot of stink was how they were weirdly retconning the Teen Titans. At the start, they were sticking with the idea that there were Titans before. Then they were basically retconning that away to the point where like the volume one of Teen Titans actually had edited word balloons from the original issue to, get rid of any mention that there were Titans before, like the team we got. And this book basically uh, tries to undo that, undoing this. Those were words, and make a whole mystery out of it. And I really enjoyed this. I was intrigued at the mystery. It's funny because I only read this after Rebirth happened, so I kind of sort of understood what was happening. Um, and I will give Dan Abnett, who wrote this, credit. I do kind of like that weird air that there's something missing. Not just that, hey, we don't remember this, but there's subtle hints of Wally West trying to reach out to them but couldn't. In fact, the trade actually has this. It's towards the back here. It has this really interesting thing called behind the scenes, um, where it shows you like. I love how they indicated it with red drum. I don't know if this was like intended or if they did this post rebirth, like in terms of they drew this in to put in the back. But I do like the idea that he was quietly, without even the audience really knowing, he was trying to reach out. Also, the rebirth one shots in here too, if you are curious, which I think was that's actually something I didn't entirely realize they were doing until I picked up a few trades and other people told me. Some of the last volumes of the New 52 series, like Aquaman and Wonder Woman, I know were this way. Teen Titans Edge of Oblivion, not Teen Titans, Green Lantern Corps Edge of Oblivion was the same way, where the rebirths are at the end, and I find that interesting. Um, in some cases, that makes sense. Like, I know Abnett was writing Aquaman before Rebirth, so that makes sense. But Greg Rucka wasn't writing Wonder Woman before Rebirth, so that seems weird. I don't. And it only makes sense if it, to me, if it was like the previous writer was already writing it and just leading in. That makes more sense as a transition, but what do I know? No, this just felt like a. It has that kind of tone I liked from the Wolfman Teen Titans run. Um, I hopefully will read the first volume of the ongoing and see if Abnett kept this up. But I I'm mumbling as always, but I enjoyed this. If there's anything I didn't like, um, and this is just a complaint everyone's had. Roy Harper's trucker had dumb. Uh, I don't get the motivation to keeping that. I don't get the motivation of retconning it into the past either. Is there some sort of weird mandate that was made by someone in Warner Brothers that had to stay? I don't get it. So yeah, definitely pick this up. I wouldn't say it's 100% important to Rebirth, but it's very good. So yeah, get it. Next we have Superman, Lois and Clark. Uh, Now, the biggest thing I have heard from people with Rebirth is they don't understand the whole Superman situation. And the thing I have tried to explain to people is Superman in Rebirth is like a lot of people say, oh, it's too confusing. It's too confusing. It's it is hard to understand, but not because it's confusing, it's because it's weird. Honestly, you sit down, it maybe will only take you 5 minutes to explain the whole Superman uh, dynamic now. Like, why is he older? Why in some books does it seem like they don't trust him? Though that's a weird inconsistency between series. And basically, let me give you a small crash course because I don't think I explained it in the last video. So Convergence happened, and one of the many tie-ins to Convergence, Superman and Lois from the old pre-52 timeline had a son, and then because of cosmic shenanigans, they found themselves in what we'll call, I believe it's called Prime Earth, is what DC officially calls it now, the New 52 Earth, and they've just been quietly living secretly um, most of John Kent's life in the New 52 timeline, and that's all you really need to get what's going on. And then we lead into this, which is written by Dan Jurgens, so someone who's writing with Rebirth right now. In particular, he's writing Action Comics. Uh, this is pretty good. Um, it's and again, it's not like constantly reminding you that Rebirth's happening because again, when this started, we didn't know Rebirth was a thing that was going to happen. Same with Titans Hunt. No one knew that it was a thing, but the hints were there. Uh, this is just an interesting take on Clark Kent in particular. This mature grown up Clark Kent. I have cats walking around. One of them has a bell, in case you heard that. Just trying to protect his family and live a life in this new world he doesn't entirely understand, but he's there's a lot of interesting dynamics here. One thing about it I like is it has Lois and Clark as a family with a son. That's something I've wanted ever since I read Last Son, the Jeff Johns, Richard Donner story. And you get that. And one thing I kind of like is I like that this older grizzled Clark Kent looks at his life situation and says, I can be a normal person, raise my family normally because Superman's out there, which is an interesting dichotomy considering up until very recently, because I'm recording this as the big revelation of who the weird Clark Kent double is. But I do find it fascinating that this Superman kind of has that perfect setup. He can live his life, raise a family, be happy, but know that they're safe because there's a Superman out there. But of course, that secret can't stay secret for long. People are after him. He's strange villains show up. I think Batman gets a little wise to it. Um, I don't want to spoil too much because I do legit like. I like that this takes things, by the way, from Superman movies. Not a lot of people like and manage to do it kind of cool, like the whole he's trying to stay out of the spotlight, not try to attract anything, grows a sweet beard, like in Man of Steel, except done well. I even love that it kind of does that scene of John Kent showing that he has powers to Lois when they're in danger, except that is better paid off and set up, and no one and Superman's not creepy. Uh, but yeah, just like Titans Hunt, recommend that you get this. It fits in with all the Superman stuff going in right now very well. It has one of the writers, and it's just well done all together. So now that we've gotten the praise section out of the way, I'm kidding. We have more. I'm an upbeat person. That's why the internet doesn't like me. And now my cats are fighting. Be right back. Okay, I did literally nothing to stop them from fighting, so we'll see how this goes. Be good, cats. Anyway, they're off screen. So next we have Superman, The Final Days of Superman. That's a title. So uh, I remember this being kind of the thing that a lot of like Jeff Johns was saying, keep an eye on this story because this was kind of gonna be. Well, this was when Rebirth was announced, and this was told to be the big kind of lead in to the one shot. And I will give him this: when this originally was like before this came out in issues, they didn't give it this title, which was a smart idea. It was just called like Super League, which sounded vague, but that's probably because it was just a generic title that they weren't gonna actually use anyway. And so the title is Superman lives a very long life and nothing bad happens. No, the New 52 Superman dies in this story. And you would think with a pretty big story element like that, that kind of drives this section of the DC universe, you would think it's great, right? It ain't. It's not that great. It's okay. It was entirely written by Tomasi, who would, of course, do Superman going forward. This just sort of feels like a bunch of setups happen and go read the book that we want you to read. This just felt like, well, let's do something to kind of draw the Superman related books to a close because all four of the Superman related ongoings at the time were in this Superman Action, Batman Superman, and Superman Wonder Woman because titles are really hard to come up with, I guess. And I don't know what to say. Like all the stuff that's happening right now. The old bearded Superman taking over. Superman dying. Lois and Lana getting powers and leading into Superwoman happens here. We start to get a hint of the new Superman that we're getting the Chinese one. What else? Oh, Supergirl comes back. She was basically missing because they canceled her book, but now a TV show's out. We have it ongoing. We need to get her back. That's basically the thing. Is this is a checklist of all this of we're setting up like elements for other series, and that's about it. Oh, and there's this crazy glowing red Superman who wants to actually be Superman, and he's causing all kinds of trouble and shenanigans. Um, but yeah, the biggest thing about this that I think is, well, my biggest complaint is it just sort of feels like set up for a bunch of different things. But my biggest thing is this is Superman dying, and it feels like a just another tick. It doesn't have. It tries to have emotional resonance. Like in the beginning of the story, he goes to Lois Lane and says, "I'm dying." The problem is they don't really have the same relationship that they had before, so it doesn't really work for the reader. Um, it works a bit more with Lana because they did have that friendship, but it still doesn't. It, you would think the most important superhero of all time dying would mean something, but I guess that kind of was New 52's biggest problem. Superman wasn't all that well defined. And so if you were reading Superman, maybe this meant more. I can't imagine. I don't know if this reads well in a vacuum. Like if I just handed this to somebody, would it would they feel bad that, oh, Superman's dying, or would it just be, oh, he's dying? Because reading it again, it feels that way. I feel bad because it's not badly written or anything. It's just it just feels like links to the chain. It doesn't really like it's preoccupied with, we just need to set this up so we can do cool stuff next. And those are the weakest kinds of lead-ins and tie-ins. Is if they don't feel like they have weight, they feel like they just have to be there by obligation. And I'm not. I feel bad for that because this should have been more, but it isn't. So next. And finally, we have DC Universe Rebirth, the deluxe edition. Yes, I bought the deluxe edition. I never bought the one shot, mostly because it sold out, and even a few of the reprints in my area, like at least the second one, sold out because they didn't order a massive amount. But there are people who like to own those extra covers. Meanwhile, I own this that has all the variant covers in here and some sketches. So if you have no idea what this is sort of just the big kickoff to all the ongoings right now. And I liked this when it came out, and I say this, I still like this as it is. That being said, like Final Days, this is just a bunch of, hey, you see this plot point, you see that plot point, you see this plot point. It's just setting up plot points and threads for other series, and that's not a bad thing. But this sort of just this more because of the nature of it feels like. Does anyone remember when Marvel? I don't know if they'll still. They probably still do this when they do big relaunch of the line again, like they have every 8 months, where they'll be like a Marvel .1, like it's just a big one shot with a bunch of small stories that just feel like lead-ins or previews of new series coming in, and that's what this feels like. Like it sets up Wally to be in Titans. It gets the ball rolling on Superman and sets up some stuff with Batman and Flash. And I will say this has more emotional weight than Final Days. I still think the whole Wally trying to find a connection with the world again is actually a very compelling story. And the moment of him and Barry hugging is a really nice feel good moment. But okay. Well, I think my two biggest problems with reading this again, and we're coming up on a year now of this uh, changing and impacting things. I know I'm awful at standing in center of the camera. I'm terrible. Uh, the two big things about this alone, I'm not a fan of. The Watchmen thing, I don't really want. I'm not even the biggest Watchmen fan in the world, but I just think you shouldn't be treading that ground anymore. I mean, it must be making you money still, which fine, do what you want, your thing. But I just think it's just you're just sort of setting yourself up for meh. It's not worth it to me. But that's neither here or there. I'm curious to see what the whole Button story that they're doing in Flash and Batman is going to be like. Because I've been liking those two as I've been slowly reading them. Then my biggest problem with this, despite liking the feel good moment, I hate that they basically take away any of the blame for New 52 away from Barry Allen, because I thought that could have been a way of giving him purpose. That me dying was necessary to, save the universe in Crisis on Infinite Earths. So it only makes sense that bringing me back is an equal and much more terrifying sacrifice. And bearing that burden and fighting and what upholding the responsibility of the bird. And I thought they could have used that to make him matter. And then they just said, "No, you weren't responsible. Doc Manhattan did it. You're fine." And I don't know. It's really cheap. I think you could have gotten a better story and character arc out of it if you did it the way I suggested it. But I'm just some dork who lives in Nebraska. You're writers. What do I know? But I don't. In hindsight, I really do not like that they did that. But that's just me. So yeah, if you haven't picked this up, it's important. I don't know if they're planning on reprinting as anything else. There's this deluxe edition. You can hunt down any printing of like the soft cover if you want. In terms of reprints, I think they did like an omnibus of like all the Rebirth one shots up to a certain point, and I know this is in there. But if you just want this, you might be able. This is $18 this hardcover because it's basically just an OGN, and that's in terms of reprinting just an OGN and hardcover. That's not an unfair price. This does have extras in it, nothing incredibly mind blowing. But let's see. There's like costume sketches and all the variant covers and what else is there? There's also some because they kind of want to replicate the 9-panel grid. There's some interesting uh, takes on the whole like how they reference Watchmen's structure, which makes me at least think okay, they at least understand what they're doing, even if it's kind of crazy. But yeah, still it's an important piece. It feels more important than Final Days does. So there's still that. I'm glad you all watched this. Hopefully, I am planning on just recording the next batch right after for I guess like a follow up on Rebirth because I got like four Rebirth trades. So hopefully that'll be out soon. Thank you for watching. Bye.